weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced and get happy with Dr. Marissa. And this show is about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have shows and topics.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days.
Monday, Tuesday,
Happy days.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Happy days.
Friday, whatever.
Happy days.
What a day. Na, 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 na.
I love you.
I love you too.
Best known as the mom from Happy Days, and she is a delightful 89-year young Marion Ross to my studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Dr. Marissa, this is such a treat for me.
Oh.
My goodness, you're a wonderment.
Which is exactly the kind of guest that I like. Those who have gone through life, good and bad, and then taken those experiences to alchemize them into the person they are now and doing good on the planet. I'd like you to welcome Corey Feldman.
If you're grateful for it and you say right away, thank you, God. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so blessed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then guess what? More good things will come to you.
Does this sound familiar at all? She's back again to mark my Cancer Awareness and Prevention Month show. Please welcome Fran Drescher. Hi, Fran.
On and supporting cancer schmance. I really appreciate it.
So what would you say are some of the biggest myths, Fran, that people have about cancer?
Well, I would say that they think that there's a cure for it.
Okay.
Instead of a cause for it.
This is the first call-in show when I get to be Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura. And people call in to get their life tires balanced and their critical thinking or their BS, their belief systems, smog checked. And today I am delighted to have Malie calling in from Birmingham, Alabama.
We could go 90 days and end up having terrible sex. And then you say, well, the relationship's not all about sex. Well, if I'm not getting great sex from you, then I'm going to get it from somebody else. Right?
That moose just got put on the table. And I see Josh and Jim.
I have to agree
You're
with Clyde.
both nodding. Ramon's sort of half nodding because his wife's listening. But
I understood what was going to happen if Muhammad Ali's youngest daughter, made public that I was going to become a boxer. So I wanted to make sure this was the path that I wanted to go down.
You are absolutely fabulous, beautiful inside and out. And I'm giving you Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award today.
Thank you.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic point.
When I go, I'm gone.
Are you lonely?
No.
Nah, I knew that was going to be
But
the answer.
I surround myself with people. I mean, I'm always the one cooking for things. But I'm always the one that decorates first and come to my house. All the orphans that have no place.
I'm going to have no place to go, so I can come over.
Come on over.
And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and the station that leaves no listener behind. Also love streaming on so many platforms. iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podchaser, Streaker, Spreaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone and balance out all of the bad news out there with some good news. So this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kanye talk, formerly or now, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end. If you've missed any of my 1,140, it just went by 50-something shows, then please do pre-subscribe to my YouTube channel where you can get access. Or if you'd like to be a member, we're creating a little community. And my first subscriber is on the chat right now. Her name is Sci-Fi Mombi. That's not her real name. She has a great show also on YouTube, her YouTube TV channel. So you have to go check that out. But welcome, Sci-Fi, and welcome to my favorite Wednesday co-host. Her name is Dr. Tiffanie Tate. You will know her every time you see her, you know it's Wednesday. And she is a beautiful inside and out co-host. She has an MD, so that's why we call it Doctors in the House. She is a veteran. She is a poet, songwriter, singer, playwright, cook, and a mama to two beautiful kids that I've gotten to meet because they came on and sang music in the holidays for our holiday special. Please welcome back to the studio, Dr. Tiffanie Tate. Wait for it. There it is.
Always a pleasure to be here. Good morning, everyone.
Yay! Now we're going to go straight into breakfast with my co-host and anyone else. Please, if you're driving, listening to the AM FM channel, do not type in your gratitudes. But if you are landed somewhere, go to YouTube TV channel, and that way you can participate in this good life habit discipline that I started on the show. Top of the bun, 8 things we're grateful for outside of ourselves. Bottom of the bun, 8 things that you like about yourself going on the inside, gratitude on the inside. Dr. Tiffanie, start us off.
I'm going to start because I just returned from an absolutely fabulous conference in the wonderful city of Los Angeles with my wonderful sorority, the first Black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And we had a wonderful, absolutely fabulous time celebrating sisterhood and service.
Wow. When was that started? What year?
In 1908, January 15, 1908 at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And we became incorporated in 1913. And it was absolutely fabulous. And we just had a wonderful time. We did pack chip bags for the hungry children. And we made service bags for less fortunate people and women who are in homeless shelters. And we do a lot of service and community service. And it was just a lot of bonding and ways to better and enrich and serve the community. And it was just fabulous.
Well, I was not aware. You had mentioned before the sorority, and traditionally, you think of I grew up in Canada, so we're not huge on that stuff in college. like the Americans are. And so I associate it with, keg parties and, hazing and all the bad things that go with sororities and fraternities. And I had no idea that my colorful sisters had their own sorority, and for the activities being so far from my stereotyping of them, I think it's beautiful. And for that, I'm giving your sorority Kappa Alpha. I remember the alpha part. I wonder why. For all the work that you're doing to show human kindness, emphasis on human kind. I'm giving you the Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award to Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You'll have to communicate that to your sisters. I am grateful that yesterday I was launched on an app. They contacted me from England, and there's a new app out, which is like a hack app where, there's another app that takes like books and distills them into 5 minutes or something like that. Similar, but a little bit different because they hone in on some insights. They're not summarizing the book. They're looking for things that will be able to help you. And I got contacted, and I just got launched to 11 million users yesterday. So very, very happy that my Happy 88 mission, which is 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years, took a giant leap into those numbers. So I'm super grateful about that. I think I'm going to give myself a little applause.
Congratulations. I also gave you my mini applause right here.
Yay! Lori Matheson is a wonderful, she's the one that contacted me. She was actually subbing for someone who was supposed to talk to me, but she's turned out to be this incredible, affirming, motivational, like she does the first draft. So she actually gets the book. So it's not like making stuff up. And she did a wonderful job. So, all right. What are you grateful for?
I am grateful that my book, Little Engine Mia Sings, Nathaniel and Mia coordinated a portion of the audiobook because we're putting together an audiobook for it. And because it's Little Engine Mia Sings, I have Mia singing a portion of the book. And Nathaniel is playing on a portion of the book. And that portion was finally together. And I finally submitted it to the coordinator of it, and she accepted it. So we're in the works of putting that together. So the audio of the book, Little Engine Mia Sings. So I haven't really advertised it yet because I want to promote it when the audiobook is ready. So I'm thankful that I'm on the way to having that ready. So that is my gratitude for that.
And when that is ready, you can launch here. It would be wonderful to have Mia come back on. She's amazing. Her voice, she did not fall far from her mother's musical tree. So I just look forward to having that, and congratulations to you. Sci-fi, I don't see a gratitude from you. Usually I do, but I do see eyeballs rolling in. Thank you for tuning in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, station that leaves no listener behind, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. And it is Wednesday. And so this is our weekly series called Doctors in the House with myself and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
And I think we have run the gamut on the gratitudes on top, which is a wonderful way to sort of, we use it to catch up and what's going on with each other. So that's a double, whammy, a double positive whammy. And we're going to go to the bottom of the bun, which is weightlifting for you. It's a model for you to copy when you go to bed tonight. instead of thinking about what you didn't finish, how you're not good enough, which is a lie, and all the bad things somebody did to you or said about you. Instead, I want you to choose gratitude for yourself. So what do you like about yourself? Because frankly, my dear, if you can't approve of yourself, how the fork do you expect anybody else to? So what we want to do is highlight those aspects of yourself that you like. Even if you don't believe it, if you've gotten a compliment on it, go with it. So with practice, you will begin to self-affirm, self-care, self-love, which is the foundation of good mental health. So, Dr. Tiffanie, start it off.
I love my optimism because sometimes life comes at you really hard and you just really have to look at things from a different perspective and just keep persevering.
Good one. I appreciate my ability to practice the art of neglect. So when, as you were saying, something happens or someone says something like super mean or cruel, I am so appreciative of my ability. I'll sting with it. I'll, react to it. I'll feel bad, but for a California minute. And then I have learned how to neglect those things that I don't want to think about that make me feel bad.
And I appreciate my ability to hold my peace. Sometimes no reaction is a reaction. And some people will say some things and you get that feeling where you're like, I know they didn't, but you can choose to let it disrupt your peace.
Yes.
How you always say, Dr. Marissa, is it true? Is it kind? But you know it's not true. And you can say, well, I know my reaction isn't going to be kind and it's going to egg it on. So I can choose to say, do I really want to respond? And if I respond, I can tear this person down. And do I really want to do that? Do I really want to engage? Do I really want to disrupt this? Do I want to raise my own blood pressure? Is this really beneficial for me? No, it is not. I am not going to let them disrupt my peace. I'm going to keep peace in this situation. And I'm going to shake the devil off. I'm going to a grain of salt and I'm going to keep on pushing.
Yeah. I'll give you a piece, Peace, of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 Happy 88 tools I'll slip in here as you're raising up this really good life tool is, one is, remember those car alarms that said, step away from the device.
That part.
Step away from that one. And don't pick up the rope. You can't have a tug of war if you don't pick up the rope.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then isn't it a Southern thing to say, bless you?
Oh, they say, bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Okay.
Okay.
I'm learning how to say, bless your heart.
Yes, bless your heart and walk away.
Instead of saying, if I looked like you, I'd be miserable too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I actually had a ding dong message me and say, for an older woman, you look hot.
The nerve, the audacity.
I was like, are you? Yeah. Anyways, bless your heart.
That part. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm so glad it's easy to block people now.
Yeah. Don't you wish you could do that in life? You like talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand. Exactly. Remember that? All right. One more each.
And I am thankful for my family because they are there for me. Even when I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I can call my mom T and say, hey, let's chit chat because I know she's up and I can bother her during her coffee time.
We're getting a good morning, darlings, from Trevor. He must be one of yours. He's not one of mine, I don't think. But anyways, welcome, Trevor, to the Cashew Gallery chat. Thank you for tuning in. We're just finishing up breakfast. I'm going to close it with the bottom of the bun. I appreciate my ability to laugh at just about everything and everyone. Not at them. Well, yeah, sometimes at them, but definitely with them. And laughter is my favorite sound on the planet. So that's it for having breakfast with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
Thanks for joining us. I promise you, if you do this, a good life habit and hashtag Blisscipline every day for the next 28 days, you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. And alrighty, Dr. Tiffanie, what is the topic of the day today?
The topic of the day today is relationships, family, friends, and finances. Do they mix? How do they mix? Things that make you go, And I thought this was an interesting topic because a lot of times as a physician, I get hit up. I get hit up all the time. I get hit up for a little bit of money, and I get hit up for a lot of bit of money. And my children, they're like having two little broke best friends, and I expect them to always hit me up. And I'm looking forward to the day where they have their own money. It's not coming fast enough, but I love them, so I just continue to support them, bless their heart. And so, but what do you do when you have your friends or your partner or your extended family hit you up? Or when you go out with your friends, and this has been my situation, and you guys eat and the bill comes, and say, for instance, they've had 3 to 5 alcoholic drinks and all you had is some cranberry juice. And you're like, do I have to pay for their alcohol? And I haven't had any alcohol. It can get a little sticky. And so, me, my scientific mind, well, let's see what the experts say. So I thought it would be a good topic to talk about, rules and etiquette and what should you do and what should you not do? Who should pay for vacations? How should you split the bills when you move in with somebody, when you're a high income earner and not a high income earner, and all these different things. So let's dive in and have some fun. What do you think, Dr. Marissa?
Well, this is a great topic because it's one of those things that we have opinions about. We don't necessarily talk about it too much. You don't want to seem like you're better than someone or worse than someone. Money is not the root of all evil. It is a reality for all humans as we live here as an exchange, right? That's the exchange we're using. And I can totally remember before the divorce where I had quite a bit more money. And so it was nothing for me to, and from my heart, not like I'm going to do this for you and then you have to do something back. And all the big dinners with all of my, nieces and nephews and, Auntie Marissa's going to pick up the check. They all knew. So everybody ordered everything. And I was happy with that because I had a lot to be able to share. And I can remember it's almost $3 million that divorce, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. But losing all of that temporarily because we're on the mend, but, going to the same family functions and going out for dinner, I had to literally say beforehand, not that they expected it, but I had to say, because when the check came, everybody sort of right? Or they went to the bathroom or something. And I said, your great auntie is not in a position anymore to do this. And it was very awkward. and it was very, and I felt bad. Like I felt bad, which I shouldn't feel bad, because things change, and maybe we shouldn't have even gone out at that point. But I didn't. The first time I didn't know how to deal with it, so I didn't deal with it at all. So certainly, I think where you are with your finances does determine how you're going to react to paying or not to pay. But that should have been the title of the promo. Now that I think about it, I guess I was too tired last night. To pay or not to pay, because my last name is Pay. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I think that, because I've heard people go, I can't believe people who have to split out a meal and they have to, count up, and when the bill comes, it's so embarrassing. Just split it down split it 4 ways, and they are usually the ones who've had all of the alcohol. And I haven't had alcohol for 15 years. It's like easy for you to say, but I guess my answer is INTBOAD. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I pay an extra $1 or $2 for someone who is drinking a little more. I'll just split whatever you want, just to make it easy. That is not something to get my panties all in a jumble for.
So I'm going to teach you a new word. Have you ever heard of broke fishing?
Broke fishing?
Broke fishing. See,
wait. BROKE?
Broke fishing.
Okay. No.
Okay. What is broke fishing, you might ask? So
what is broke fishing?
Yes. Broke fishing is the act of positioning oneself as needing financial help when that is not necessarily the case.
Ooh.
That part. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you see, so this could happen whether it be a family member, a friend, or a partner. So I love new terms. So I was like, oh, I love learning something. You should learn at least one thing every day. So yesterday I learned what broke fishing is. And so when you go out and say someone has the top shelf alcohol and they're ordering, 3 to 5 drinks. So you said you don't mind spending, $2 or $3 extra. What if you're spending a couple extra $50, $60 on their alcohol? And, they have the money. You're out with a couple other physicians and they're ordering all this high-end stuff. So it's me and you, and I'm tossing back a few. And I'm like, yeah, let's split it down the middle. And you're looking at me. And I'm ordering lobster and everything, and you're ordering your, a gluten-free salad and a side dish. And I'm sitting here going to town. And I'm like, yeah, let's split it down the middle. So I have a $150, $200 meal, and your meal costs $30, and you want to split it, and I say split it down the middle. You're okay with that?
No.
Yeah.
You're not going to broke fish me.
And I can't afford it. And so I'm like, but Dr. Marissa, we're friends. Come on. I know you can. You're Dr. Marissa. Come on now. And so these are some of the things that some people can do and put you in an awkward situation. And so I thought it was interesting. So there are 5 tips that you should think about when friends or relatives ask for money. And so I was like, okay. Number 1, don't rush into a decision. And I don't know if you listen to Steve Harvey. Most people have heard of him. And
Family Feud. I love Family Feud. So the end of Family Feud, not so much the beginning, but when they do the countdown.
And his approach, I think, is really hilarious because he always says, when his family calls him and asks them for money, he takes his time. And when it says don't rush, he usually waits a week or two, sometimes even longer, because by then they have figured out what they're going to do in case it's an emergency. Because if they're in a pinch, they've already come to another conclusion. Finance experts usually say it's a good rule of thumb not to lend money to anyone that you're not willing to part with. And that's what my financial advisor says. If you're going to lend money to someone, be okay with not getting it back, especially if it's a family member.
Yeah.
Usually they might give it back, but sometimes they may not. And if they do, they may not give it back in a timely fashion. So be okay with not getting it back immediately. If you need to get it back immediately, chances are you probably shouldn't be loaning it.
Yeah, I've learned the lesson the hard way where I have lent money because they really sounded like they were at the end of, they were in a really, really tough spot. And then I found out they wanted the money to take a flight to go to a cousin's wedding. And I was not happy to find that out because it's really, the difference between want and need. So certainly I have compassion for people who are temporarily stretched for money. But at the same time, I have to honor myself and my energy. And a great example of this is I got a call, someone booked me for a 15-minute call. And he was, just in a really not happy place, divorced, financial difficulties and everything. So even though I could help him with coaching, right, with my Get Happy 8-week thing, I know it would definitely help him. I knew he wouldn't be able to afford it, right? So instead, but I did have. He booked 15 minutes. So I gave him all the free advice as far as, where you could get help for free. YouTube has some great clips from a lot of my teachers, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Don Miguel Ruiz, Abraham Hicks. So you can listen to those and then I said, can you afford $20? Yes, I can. Good. Get my book. It has exercises in it to help you through that. So I know that's not exactly answering your question on the money aspect, but the process of deciding whether or not to give also looks at, are you a person that keeps giving and keeps giving and keeps giving, and then you cop a resentment around giving because they're not getting it or they're not using it wisely or they're not. If you're going to lend money or lend your time, you got to be okay with them doing whatever they want with it. You cannot dictate or control how they use your time or how they use, once you give that, it's out of your hands. So that's a rule I think that is important to remember before you do that. I didn't hear that in the list, so I thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah, that's important. And studies show that it's about 60% of Americans who have lent money to family and friends. So more
60?
than half, 60.
Wow.
60. I thought that was pretty significant. And I thought that was amazing. And so number 2, that was the next one. So be polite, but be firm. It is very difficult to say no when you're under pressure, but you should not immediately agree to a loan request. If you do agree, you want to make sure that you are very explicit with what you want to do. Number 3, figure out other ways to help them out. If you think that somebody is unemployed, give them options, kind of guide them to employment opportunities, help them develop some of the things that they're good at. Like if you know that they can paint, and you know someone needs help painting their home, or they need odd jobs done, if they're a handy person, kind of guide them towards employment. Number 4, understand why they're asking for the money. Like you said, that person wanted to go for a wedding. I know somebody wanted to borrow money from me, and it was to pay a ticket. I'm like, I'm not paying your ticket. And so, I said no at that time. And number 5, make the repayment terms clear and get it in writing. Even if they opt to obscure from those things, you still want it documented so that you can go from there. And so you have it eventually down the line when they do pay it, and you want to document the payments so that you and that person can be clear. You can say, okay, you made this payment last year, you made this payment this year, so they can be like, oh no, I paid you off. You're like, no, you didn't, you still owe me. So if they circle back around and ask you for more money, you have a reason for saying no. And that way you can be very clear, especially if it's a family member. You want to make sure that they can't say, well, you're not being fair to me. You can say, no, I am being fair to you, and this is why I'm saying no.
Good points. Yeah, if a family member is not a broke fish, right? We're talking about a different category here. If you have friends or family who normally are very self-supportive and hardworking, and let's say the best example I can give is medical. You know, some medical tragedy happens, and that is a reality for a lot of people. You know, even if you have health insurance, it doesn't always cover everything. Like that for me is a situation where if I have the money, I'm going to absolutely help you out with that for sure. So let's put that moose on the table. It's not always a no, but definitely for broke fishing, that is a no. But there's also this other, and I was going to make the point, and it was such a brilliant one, and I knew I was going to forget it. So I'll do a station ID and see if it comes back. If you've just tuned in and wondering what's going on in studio today, this is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and it's Wednesday. So it's my very special series, Doctors in the House with Dr. Marissa and
Dr. Tiffanie Tate.
And we're broadcasting live on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and my YouTube TV channel, which if you free subscribe, you'll get an alert every weekday morning for the show, and also access to all of my playlists, red carpet playlists with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, Temptations, and more. And you were going to say something?
To give you a minute to think, I was going to say one reason that people tend to go to family and friends is that they don't have to do a credit check. They usually don't have to pay interest or high interest or anything at all, and you're an easy target. So yes, could they borrow money from other things or take it out from their credit cards? Yes, they could, but why would they when you're there? And so people don't want to do the hard thing. They want to do the easy thing.
Yes, thank you. And that did trigger. I want to put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. Entitlement. So I am extremely challenged by individuals who have no money or very little money, and they are unwilling to work at something they don't want to. You mentioned going down. Something you said triggered that. I have met so many people who I'll say, okay, you're going through temporary money challenges. What can you do, or what did you do? Well, I did customer service, I did retail, I did this, I did that. So you have a skill set, you are employable. And their response is, but I don't want to do that anymore. And that statement is very telling, because you could be making money doing something you don't want to do, but because you don't want to do it, you're not going to do anything at all. And you would rather ask for money from other people than act on your own behalf and temporarily at least have a base from which to have some money energy, so you can invest in what, the education that you need for another career or anything. If you are entitled, if you are and I'm going to tough love here. I had an assistant who said, my last assistant, no more assistants. If you didn't have a Starbucks every day, you could pay me more. That to me is just a not okay. So if you're a person that knows someone who has that entitled kind of operation going on, and you're giving them money or giving them time, y'all part of the problem, because you're enabling that attitude to continue. So sorry, I had to get up on my little tough love soapbox for a second.
Okay, so I think that's pretty significant. Well, now I'd like to pivot and talk about money in relationships, because that's also a taboo subject. And 73% of people who are married or cohabitating in America experience problems due to finances in their relationships. And I thought that was a pretty high number. And that's according to the CPAs here in America. And it's because of differences in financial goals, because a lot of times their goals don't align. Either one person wants to do a budget and the other person doesn't, or they have differences in what they want to do with that budget. Sometimes it's a lack of communication. And then there was another word that I learned. We're going to learn another word.
Oh, cool.
Financial infidelity. Have you heard about that?
No, financial infidelity.
Financial infidelity. That was
okay. Can I take a guess? Okay. So one person says, I want to buy a motorcycle. And the other person says, no, you cannot buy a motorcycle. And they go out and buy the motorcycle anyways.
Close, but not.
Okay.
Financial infidelity is the act of concealing or being untruthful about money habits, such as hiding savings accounts or credit cards from your partner. It's kind of like emotional or physical infidelity, but financial infidelity betrays the trust and can cause money trouble if it results in excessive debt. So if you go out and you shop and you hide your bags or you hide your Amazon packages and you're hiding your savings account and you're hiding all your stuff. So that is financial infidelity. I was like, financial infidelity? That's a new one. So I learned.
Yeah, I'm guilty. And I'll put my moose on the table myself. When I was married, I was the breadwinner. So I justified that whatever I wanted to buy was okay. And I would buy things that I would wait till he wasn't at home or in the gym, in the garage, and sneak up all the bags. So I'm guilty. I'll be the first. But again, I justified it because I made the money. I worked hard. And I think that's the moose on the table we have to talk about right now. If you're not making money in a job, if you are a stay-at-home, and or if you make a lot of money and they don't, or they make a lot of money and you don't, how do you deal with the money?
And that's what I looked up. There are 5 ways that couples could potentially split the bills. according to the experts. So you can do I'm going to talk about the 5 and then I'll break it down because hopefully we'll have enough time. So there are 5 potential ways. There's the 50-50 approach, an income-based approach, the roommate approach, joint account approach, and then the yours and mine approach. Okay. So the 50-50 approach is really simple. We're going to divide everything down the middle. I thought the income-based approach was really nice because it takes into account who the high income earner is and who the person who's making less is. And it seemed more fair to me because, say, for instance, if one partner is making $60,000 and that's partner A, and partner B is making about $40,000, you would split the bills using a 60% and a 40% based on the income. So if the water bill, say, for instance, is $100, partner A would pay $60 and partner B would pay $40. So that seems more fair. That way, no person is kind of out of luck in paying more. The person making more is paying more and the person who's making less is paying less. And that way, is taking into consideration the income disparity. And that way, no one is filling out, their feelings aren't necessarily being hurt. Now, the roommate approach is the percent of person in the household. So if 5 people are in the household, you're paying 1/5 of the bills. If there are 4 people in the household, you're paying 1/4 of the bills. So it depends on how many adults are in the household. So say, for instance, if you, me, Nate, and Mia all live together, then you would be paying 1/4 of the household bills. So again, that's more of a percentage and it's more fair. The joint account approach, all the bills are added together and each partner pays a portion. So it's like, okay, let's just dump all of our money together and then we'll pull it out. I think that might be okay. It just depends on who the spender is, and that could be a problem. I know in my previous divorce, that was a problem because he was the spender and he had the financial infidelity person. Every time I paid off a credit card, he'd go sneak and get another one behind my back. So yeah, so that was an issue. I think the yours and mine approach is divide into yours and mine, and you can have separate accounts and then a joint account. And then, so say for instance, you would have an account, I would have an account, and then we'd have a joint account. And so you put a little bit into the joint account, pay the bills from the joint account, and then you each have your own separate account. That can also be fair. And so the key is that it's all about communication.
Yeah, it's a very, it's a sensitive topic because like you said, talking about it makes you a little bit uncomfortable. And I don't know realistically if you can ever fully agree, because there is that BS, that belief system. If I am making the money, it's mine. And it's a tough one because you don't want to be in the position that you are being bought in a sense, because there is that, if you're not making the money, my Thursday co-host was saying, you want to go on a big lavish vacation, and the one who has less money cannot possibly afford that. So either they don't go on vacation at all, right, until they've saved up enough equally, which is going to probably take another 10 years because the disparity is so wide, or the person pays for the whole thing and the other person has to be able to not feel like they are being bought, not feel like they are being used, or that they're basically, I don't want to say pimp, but it's that same feeling of being, I'm not doing this on my own. I need you to be able to pay for something that I can't afford to pay. And that is such a horrible place to be. I almost wish that in some ways, I don't want to go back to where it was, but when the household was usually the man making all money, and then it was a household bank. And in that household bank, many of the women controlled the bank and said, okay, we need to have this percent to pay the bills, this percent to da-da-da. And, they got to be really good financial managers at home. But as soon as we started working and there was double income, and then there was even a place where women were making more than men, and we are here now, right? Thank goodness we are actually getting more equal pay. And if you're dating or with a relationship and you are making significantly more than the other person, how do you be okay with sharing the money, right? In a 50-50 way. But I'll share something that Dr. Pat Allen told me because my mortgage was $2,200 at the time. And I was paying the full $2,200. And when my husband, at the time, my boyfriend, was moving in, right? What portion, if we apply your rules, 50-50 would have killed him, right? Because he was paying $700 for a studio, which he was comfortable paying for. So now I'm going to ask him to pay $1,100? Not possible, not fair, and not realistic. So she suggested doing a percentage. So of the nut, the monthly nut, what percentage is his income versus mine? So if I was making 3 times as much, then 25% of the mortgage would be his portion of it. And that worked for a bit until, he didn't like the feeling of being the one, having to ask permission to buy something, right? Because you say it's communication, but how are you communicating? It's not just communication. Are you communicating in a way that makes it further the divide on who is more important, is the one who's bringing in more money? That's the BS we got to get rid of, right? If possible. You're bringing in money, but I'm bringing in energy that's different than money. So how do you communicate in a way that doesn't further divide, but shows sincere appreciation for their work? And I think that if we can go back to that, the day where, the head of household was very appreciative and saw value in what the person who was running the household did, maybe then we can get away from the divide.
I'm not sure if he had his own account, that would have made it better. If you guys would have did the yours, mine, and ours thing, that way he could have been able to buy his own stuff, and then you would have had the joint household account, and then you would have had your own account. That way he wouldn't have felt like he had to check for his own stuff. It might have made it a little bit easier. I can't say that I have the answer. I'm divorced.
And he didn't have any income. So that's the problem with that one. There's no income, right? Because he's working at home, taking care of the kids. Although I gave him Mondays off and Fridays off. So I was the enabler, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
did we get through your research? I want to make sure you got that. Oh, good. Because I think I missed one station ID. So I'll just break for that and just tell you, if you've been here and you're listening and you're wondering what you're listening to, it's your first time here, welcome. This is Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, #1 talk in the IE, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel. This is NBC News Radio and NBC Sports Radio. And I am Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. So this is my home here. And Wednesdays is my very special series called Doctors in the House. I'm a PhD doctor. Dr. Tiffanie is an MD doctor, OBGYN to be exact. And we are here not to dispense official recommendations or advice in that sense. We are here largely through experience, but we do have some expertise in those things that we talk about, that we are doing so in order for you to have a platform to be able to discuss it, talk about it, and hopefully spur on a conversation that will make your relationship happier as well as yourself. Dr. Tiffanie, final words.
My final words are this. When you go out with friends, make sure you communicate. If you don't plan to pay, remind them to bring their wallet. And if you do plan to pay, just say, my treat. Make sure you always communicate because, as we say, communication is key. In your relationship, it is okay to treat your partner. And if you want to be treated, it's okay to let them know that you want to be treated. Communication is key. And if you are cohabitating and if you're married, it is okay to communicate what you plan to do with your bills. You can have a yours, mine's, our mentality. You can split it 50-50, or you can do a percentage-based split. Just make sure you communicate and everything will be great.
Beautiful. 80% okay is my final word. It's not ever going to be 100% okay, I think, because win-win is a great goal to have, but it's rare that everybody is 100% win-win. So 80% win is even though I don't like that C word, compromise. How can you feel 80% great with the decision that's made? And how can that other person also feel 80% great? And when that happens, you have a relationship that really can thrive on the good or the fun that money does bring. Money is not a deal breaker, but the attitude you have towards money can be a deal breaker. And that is my final word. I'm so glad that you are able to tune in with us every Wednesday, and in my case, every weekday morning. If you have a topic that you would like Dr. Tiffanie and I to address or comment on, give our 8 cents worth on, please do contact us. Dr. Tiffanie, you can also get all of her books and her book of poetry and her children's book. There's one in particular that I love because it helps kids talk about potential scenarios where there might be some abuse and not be afraid to talk about it. It's called Bad Touching. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
And she does have, of course, new music projects coming up. And your website is?
www.drtiffanie, Tiffanie, Tate.com.
Great. And if you use my assistant Google and just put in Asian Oprah or Dr. Marissa, you will find me. By the way, I did not make that name up. I was actually introduced to Oprah as the Asian Oprah by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. But that is that's how I came out with that name, if you're wondering. But it's easy to find us. We both have coaching practices that we can help you up-level your happiness. I have my 8 Ways to Happiness book that is really a self-help on steroids with lots of exercises to help you out. So I encourage you to go and pick up that book, drmarissa.life, or just like I said, Google. We hope that you do find happiness in your finances, in the way that you are sharing and caring. And at the same time, my last tip is, if you are going to pick up dinner, do not tell them that before they order.
That part.
I've learned that the hard way. Anyways, let's see. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room, reminding you it's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. On behalf of Dr. Tiffanie and I, go and have the best night or day ever.